And I think we got to Charlotte kind of in the kind of late evening, like 10ish or something like that, right?
Yeah, flying east, you're going to lose some time. So yeah.
And then it's like, okay, flights are delayed. They started pushing them a little bit, and then it was like 5 a.m. And then there's like this big long line of people like trying to figure out what's going on. And then they're finally like, all right, guys, you're probably going to get a hotel room. Just look on your app or whatever. And I looked on my app. We had like a hotel voucher. Yeah. So we're like, fine. But it's like kind of shitty because it was like, by that point, it was like 11, a little after 11. And then the flight's at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So like, of course, you don't want to stay at the airport for 6 hours, but it also means like you're going to go to a hotel and sleep for 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. And then you have to come back. So we just actually, at that point, we talked about it. We just like, you know what? Let's just get a full night's sleep and let's just rent a car and drive up to, Norfolk.
Because so did you still use the hotel voucher then?
Yeah. I still use the hotel voucher.
Okay, great. That's good.
And there was like a free meal, but I ended up like using it at the hotel for snacks, which I was surprised to find out you could do that. Just load it up on chips and like microwave macaroni and cheese and whatever else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like 5.5 hours. And the other thing too is like, I didn't want to get up at 3 after having not slept much. And then with no guarantee that it wasn't going to delay again.
Right. So wait, how did you get your bags that you checked?
So we had to just pick them up at Norfolk.
Oh, so, wow. Okay. So
I checked with them at the airport. Quest. Yeah, I checked them at the airport. I said, if I'm not there, if I come by like hours later, what happens? They're like, oh, just go to the baggage like office and they'll have them back there.
Wow.
And you know what? Totally had them there. It took like just minutes to get it.
That's great.
I was like surprisingly efficient. I just went in, Amy and I, we both showed our IDs. They're like, all right, come with me. Just took us to a thing. Our bags were right there.
That's amazing.
So we basically got into town in the like evening on Friday.
Yeah.
And it was just crashed. And
yeah, so miss the first day of the festival.
Yeah.
Things happen. Yep.
Day 2, my main objective on day 2 was to set up a booth and try to sell some shit because we made shirts and handkerchiefs. The handkerchiefs were very special because they said "Ska now, ever than ever."
The worst part about that is that since it's a handkerchief, it's on there 4 times.
Yeah.
So I like copied the text because I didn't want to type it out every time, and I needed to make sure it like lined up correctly. So I like spent all this time like meticulously making sure all the text was going to line up and that it was going to be equidistant within the design, and the same thing with the In Defense of Ska logos. And then fucking had a typo because I typoed it one time, it was in there 4 times.
The funny thing is that's the only item of merch that we sold out of.
Amazing.
And Amy was like pushing it hard. She's like, look at this typo. This is like one. This is like a rare.
You want this in your life.
It's never gonna. This once in a lifetime opportunity to get this, and people are like, oh, you're right. I really
did feel like a bandana though for Supernova or any festival is a great merch item because it's small.
Yeah,
like relatively inexpensive to make. You can sell them for like double what you make them for, and then you can use it to keep dust out of your face. You can use it to tie it around your head to keep sweat out of your eyes. Lots of different uses. So yeah, I had been thinking last year like, oh, bandana is a good move.
So we definitely sold a few to people who did not give a shit about us.
Nice.
They were just like,
needed a bandana.
You're like, you have a bandana? We're like, yeah. Like, okay, good. And then Amy would be like, just let you know there's a type. They're like, whatever. I don't care. But for those who were fans of the podcast and fans of Ska Now more than ever, it was like gold.
Cool. Yeah,
that it
they're
was a
stoked.
typo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you probably are aware of the fact that we told everyone to post it and tag you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
tagged a lot. It's great. Love it. It's
So
not
I actually
annoying at
didn't
all.
really catch much music. I mean, I made a point because we just wanted to make sure that I was at the booth. I was wanted to do pre-orders of my book, and but I did make sure to catch the Op Ivy set with Catbite and Laura Jane
Yeah.
Grace.
And
And
how was that?
okay, I was looking forward to this set already. I loved the idea of it. I love the idea of like Laura Jane Grace, who's like been campaigning for this reunion, to just be like, I'm going to do the reunion myself, and
Yeah,
then choosing Catbite, the perfect band to do it, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So not only was it really good, but it was kind of better than I expected. Like I talked to Chris, the drummer of Catbite, before the set, and he was like kind of stressing a little bit more than I expected. He was kind of like, and the way what he was stressing about like surprised me. He's like talking about wanting to nail all the mistakes.
Yeah.
And he was explaining to me, he's like, see, like Unity, it goes, he's like explaining the tempo of, there's a war going on. He's like, that's at this speed, and then it slows down. I don't, want no war.
Yeah.
And then he's like, stop this. And he's like showing me that there's basically like 3 tempos in that whole beginning.
Yeah.
And he like wanted to make sure he nailed those tempo changes, which were really established by young players who didn't know how to stay in time.
Mm.
And that was the attitude that they had about this. It was like the same attitude that like these trad ska bands have, that are like, okay, so we're going to be backed by a Jamaican singer, and we're going to like perform their 60s records exactly as they recorded them to give people that like authentic experience of them.
Yeah.
They did that, but with Op Ivy's energy.
Genius.
And it sounded so good. Like not only did, and I think the bass tone was the element that was the most like startling. Like Ben somehow managed to get Matt Freeman's Op Ivy bass tone.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I was just like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
I asked him, and he kind of gave me this convoluted answer. I don't even know if he knew how he got it. If I that's what I got from it.
Yeah.
He got it.
I was really stoked that they went at like to that level of detail.
Yeah. And the other thing, I think the thing that like most surprised me about the set is I always thought of Op Ivy as this band, this Gilman band, small clubs. That's kind of where this music came from. I can never got to see Op Ivy, but I can imagine being at Gilman in like 1989, seeing them play, and it being the most amazing thing ever, right?
Yeah.
The idea of them doing a reunion, an actual Op Ivy reunion, means like they would probably headline Riot Fest or play a situation like that, where the original Op Ivy would never have been able to do that, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, does this music sound good in an outdoor setting with like thousands of people? Like I didn't know, but hearing those songs at Supernova, it's not as big as Riot Festival, but it's still not Gilman. It's
still an outdoor festival.
It's still an outdoor festival. Those songs sounded so good, like so good in that setting, like better than I expected. Like I was like immediately like it pushed me further into the like, let's make a reunion happen, because these songs sound killer in this outdoor like festival setting.
That rules.
Yeah.
So anything else from day 2?
I didn't catch too much more. I caught a little bit of Skavuvi. I didn't, I kind of just was a little bit focused on doing the merch and pre-orders. But my main objective, to be honest, wasn't the merch. The merch was kind of like helping recoup cost. The main objective was to try to drive like pre-order sales.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So basically,
did you get a good amount of pre-sales?
It did pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
It was.
How many people were familiar with your book, and how many people were coming in fresh? They'd never heard of you.
Most of the people that I talked to were familiar with the book. There were a few that were unfamiliar with the book or even unfamiliar with the podcast.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's really insane to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So last year when we went there, we had this intense feeling of like, wow, this is what it must feel like to be famous.